Okay, in section 3, we're looking at the regulation of the cell cycle and what goes into that. You have internal and external regulating factors that are going to basically tell the cell when it needs to divide. External factors include physical and chemical signals for the cell. You're going to have what are known as growth factors. They're proteins that stimulate cell division. So this is something that will speed up the process, and it will also slow down the process of cell division. So at the time of an injury, it will speed it up, and as the injury gets close to being healed, it will slow down the process of cell division. So most mammal cells form a single layer in a culture dish and stop dividing once they touch other cells. So that's another thing that would be physical for the cells. Two of the most important internal factors are kinase and cyclins. The cyclins are going to be where if it gets to a certain level, it will then drop back down. It will drop back down because it will have caused it to divide. And once it's divided, the cyclin levels will go down, and then it will go back up as the cell gets larger in size, and then it will divide. External factors trigger internal factors which affect the cell cycle. Another thing that's going to help with the cells as they're growing is what's known as apoptosis. And apoptosis is programmed cell death. It's not saying that, oh, all of a sudden this cell is supposed to die at this date. It's a normal feature in healthy organisms. So as organisms are developing, it says to stop making cells in this area and things like that. So caused by cell production for self-destruction, destructive enzymes. It occurs in the development of infants. So you can see in that picture that there are webbed fingers, and as the fingers continued to grow, it said we need to get rid of these cells in this area, otherwise you would have been born with a webbed hand. And that is the type of thing, and you can see the webbed feet down below in that picture as well. So that is something that is on and supposed to happen in individuals. Now, when cell division is uncontrolled, that can result in cancer. So cancer cells are disorganized clumps called tumors. There's two types of tumors. You have benign tumors, which benign means good, and malignant, which is bad. But when we talk about tumors, there's no real such thing as a good tumor. I will share in discussions and things like that with you guys about some issues that I've come across with these so-called benign tumors. So when we look at this, you've got all the down below normal cell, and then there's a cancer cell. So the cancer cell is going to start rapidly dividing and not really care and start making copies of itself when it shouldn't. And you can see that it's going to continue to do that, and eventually it will affect other cells around it. And then you can see this far one right here, the cell actually gets into the bloodstream, and when it does that, that's what's called metastasizing, and it ends up going, the cancer can go to other areas. So if you ever hear someone say that the cancer has spread, that's what it means, is it's usually gotten into the bloodstream and moved to different areas within the body. So like I said, benign tumors remain clustered and can be removed. Malignant tumors a lot of times are going to metastasize and break away and can form more tumors in other areas. So cancer cells do not carry out the necessary function of the cells. So cancer cells come from normal cells with damaged genes involved in the cell cycle regulation. They basically don't know when they should be dividing and when they should not. So they just continue to make copies of themselves and cause issues by pressing on other cells that are good, or causing issues in organs, making them not function properly. Things that can cause cancer are what are known as carcinogens, and they're substances like uh, tobacco smoke, things like that, that are considered carcinogens. Or if you look on containers and they say like this has a known cancer-causing agent in it, that would be a carcinogen. So something that can mess up the how the cell functions. Standard cancer treatments typically kill both cancerous and healthy cells. So the main types of cancer treatment, usually first thing that they're going to try to do is surgery. If they can remove the tumor, they're going to try to remove it and remove all that they can with it. If they Once they get it, they usually then do some other sort of treatment along with it. Like they may end up saying, okay, we're going to do targeted radiation. So they would shoot radiation at the area that was infected, and in hopes of messing up the cell cycle of those cancer cells and causing it to not want to divide. And so that's what the targeted radiation would be. And then the final thing would be chemotherapy, where it's a chemical that's going to do the same thing as the targeted radiation. But usually the chemotherapy is going to be done for if the cancer has sort of spread in the individual. And that chemotherapy is a chemical that is going to disrupt the cell cycle as well. And again, it affects both healthy and cancerous cells. So that's why individuals that usually have cancer treatment end up having issues of being sick and feeling run down and things like that. It's because these normal cells that are usually making copies of themselves are not doing that as well. So that is the end of the notes for section 3.